The clerk will note that all supervisors, with the exception of Mr. Mulligan, are present, including the clerk administrator and treasurer and office manager. Okay. We are here to consider a policy regarding the number and location of headstones on individual cemetery grave sites. I'm going to hand this off to either Lou or Janet.
I was gonna say, I'm not up on this
Okay.
one.
You wrote the preamble, I understand.
The reason that this is being brought to the board is we have had a considerable number of requests for people to have cremains buried on other people's graves. In our policy, we have the policy where you can have a mother, father, son, or daughter buried on your grave. But now we have our first request to put a second headstone. And as I was talking to Bud about this, because we are also having the problems in the cemetery of extra flowers, extra plantings, before I tell these people, yes, you can put a second headstone, this is gonna set a precedent. So, do we wanna have a policy added to our cemetery ordinance? I've called other places, and the initial response from everybody I've talked to, Schramm from Schramm Monuments, I've talked to Kathy Ray from the Moravian Cemetery. All of them, the first thing they said is, why don't they replace the headstone that's already there with names engraved for all the parties being buried on that plot? So, otherwise, you could have a 4x10 burial spot with headstone, 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 headstone. Is that what you want the cemetery to look like?
It would become a maintenance nightmare for mowing, because you'd be mowing down a row of headstones. All of a sudden you come to a row of, across the lane, if you will, and then you'd have to get back up, get around it, and to continue mowing, so it would kind of screw that up.
Is that basically what the other municipalities are doing, that you contacted?
The other ones don't, they don't do it, and it's not allowed at all at Gloucester. One headstone in Gloucester,
But that-
and that's all.
That's more state control though, isn't it?
Gibraltar, no. That's
Oh,
their,
that's right, that technically is Gibraltar.
I did a little bit of research on this as well and found out that where multiple identifications are allowed, there is still only one headstone. And what they have people do is perhaps put a ground flush plaque
Oh.
with the name, beneath the one headstone, and as other people are to be added, or if they wanna do it right up front, they change the plaque.
On the ground.
Right. That's one headstone.
so in our,
That seems reasonable.
in our flat headstone section, you already have a flat headstone. On that headstone would be a plaque. Doesn't that create a raised area for the mowing?
Yeah, jack it up. Probably an inch to 2 inches.
I think it would make the cemetery look bad to have plaques on top of marble stones.
Yeah, the ones that I researched, they weren't on top of, there was a traditional headstone.
And then on the ground itself.
Yeah,
Ah, yeah,
standing
we're
up,
talking
and then
about-
a plaque flush to the ground right in front of that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a request for the flat stone section of Little Sister Cemetery.
Okay.
I think your suggestion of people adding names, they can have somebody come and do it right on the stone without taking it out of the ground. Or they can take the stone away and replace it with another one that has what they want on it.
agree.
I think that's the neatest and the nicest.
Can we add something into the ordinance that says something like multiple headstones are not allowed with the exception of military markers? Because military markers go to a different place, they go down to the foot of the grave.
We do not have multiple headstones now anywhere?
No.
Okay.
Maybe to phrase it a little more positively, there will be but one headstone, or, you know, instead
Yeah,
of saying
I think,
not
yeah.
allowed.
Yeah, that's good.
John,
Yep, oh, yes, Peter.
is there a limit to the size of the flat stone? There is a size.
Yeah, and that's already in the cemetery ordinance.
Is that gonna pose a problem of putting other names on that?
I would, I don't know how you enforce this, but I would say that if somebody is requesting to put another headstone on, if, you know, if we are just telling them, I'm sorry, that isn't allowed, but you can take the headstone that's there and get it removed and put in a new headstone, but it does have to have all the names previously listed. You can't
Yeah, that makes
replace a
sense.
headstone
Yep.
and take off grandma
Yeah.
and grandpa's
No.
name.
Yeah,
No.
you just have to write smaller.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that will be more expensive for the people buying the headstone because they charge you by the letter.
But probably not as expensive as a
As a
whole other plat,
headstone.
yeah.
So, you know, and this is just one of the things, that if this is your choice to do this, this is it.
So are we talking two different things? To replace the existing headstone with additional names and/or a flat plaque?
Well,
Just
if
the-
there's a section of the cemetery that is flat only, I wasn't aware of that, so then you wouldn't have a traditional headstone
No.
there in
No.
that area.
This should be in all cemeteries,
Yeah, yeah.
not just in the flat stone section.
Our ordinance pertain, how many cemeteries does the town have?
Hmm.
Or
4. What about the other things that are turning up in cemeteries? Iron hooks and swinging pots and all sorts of things.
I think there's a
Parks and Property is making a recommendation to the town at one of the next meetings. That's the preamble I have
Yeah,
written.
yeah.
But Dan, what's the limit on how many cremains could go into or how many remains and cremains can go into one cemetery plot?
4.
4.
And
Oh,
if
so
there's
you're
a
not gonna have
full-
a big proliferation of,
If there's a full burial there, then you can put one other one on.
Oh, if it's a full casket, you only can put one cremain,
One remains.
cremains. Or if there's no full casket, you could put up to 4 cremains.
Right. So, I mean, you could, you know, potentially have 4 flat headstones on somebody
Yeah.
on one thing and,
Yeah,
you know. So,
but in the flat heads, flat area only, you'd still allow only one flat, but with additional names.
right. I think that's fair.
I
The-
do too.
The size of the flat, is that gonna inhibit 3 additional names?
no,
Okay.
no, they work with the size that's allowed, and the lettering gets a little smaller, the embellishment may disappear, but
Mhm.
we've got one for 3 of Al's family members, and all 3 names with dates are on there with plenty of room, and it looks nice, you know, the way that they did it looks nice.
Okay, so we're talking of where headstones are allowed, they'll be able to replace or add a name to the existing headstone. In the non-headstones, they'll be able to add to the flat. that,
Or replace.
or replace, yeah.
One marker.
One marker.
One marker.
Yeah.
We don't have any plots that have more than one marker now, do we? Okay.
Well, the exception to that would be the military ones.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess
we
we'll
have to sign
craft the
something
motion.
based
Well,
upon,
actually, you're gonna have to develop an ordinance.
We could have one cranked out by Wednesday.
Okay.
If these people wanna know something right away, right? You could pass a, resolution to that effect and then do the ordinance on, Wednesday. So those people that are anxious can get an answer from
Okay.
Janet.
Would we be better off, not a resolution, but an actual motion instructing the administrator to draft the ordinance in addition to the well, that doesn't make it technically,
Amend the ordinance.
to amend the ordinance to allow. Yeah, that's probably a cleaner way to go, I would think. Okay, I'll make a motion to instruct the, in this case, it's the clerk, am I correct? On ordinance, or is it the administrator?
Your call.
decisions.
Well, okay, technically, when you have a clerk administrator, who does the drafting of ordinances?
The clerk.
Okay. Would, okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we instruct the clerk to draft a amendment to the existing cemetery ordinance that allows one headstone. How are we gonna phrase this? And if additional names, all right, how are we gonna do this? Come on, Lou. Help me, Spock.
You're
Headstone or
basically
brownstone.
allowing one headstone per,
With multiple
Per site.
names, up to 4.
One headstone per burial site.
Right.
and one flat marker per burial site.
And one plant marker. He's writing fast, so we'll get there. Aye.
I feel like we just crashed a party.
It's so much fun too. So one headstone and one flat marker per burial site.
No,
To-
that sounds like two markers.
Right,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
one headstone.
Or,
Marker and
Or-
headstone are
or-
interchangeable.
Yeah.
So we don't have to put flat marker on,
or,
one?
one headstone or flat
No,
marker
no, no,
per,
headstone is,
Headstone, it
is
does
the
include,
same
it doesn't
thing
have
as
to be
marker.
vertical, I think,
alright,
yeah.
okay.
One headstone per burial plot to accommodate up to 4 names. If necessary. That's still not right.
I don't think you have to put down the names.
No, because
The
the
name
ordinance
part.
really handles
Right.
the number who can be in there.
But it just has one headstone,
Yeah, keep it simple.
one headstone
Right.
per burial site.
Yeah.
Remember, we're instructing the clerk to draft this, so he has to come up with the correct verbiage.
Yeah,
Well, we could come up with a preamble, sort of like, in order to maintain
Yeah,
the dignity of the town cemeteries, as well as to be able to perform proper maintenance
Efficiently.
efficiently. The town allows one headstone per burial site.
With up to 4 names. Get all that?
Second?
That the existing cemetery ordinance be amended to read as follows: in order of the town cemeteries, as well as to be able to proper the town burial.
I believe that's it. I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. I think you can go ahead and form that party.